นะคะในอีกไม่กี่นาทีข้างหน้านี้นะคะจะเป็นหัวข้อนะคะที่มิสเตอร์ยองนะคะก็จะบรรยายอีกเช่นเคยนะคะในหัวข้อที่มีชื่อว่า Ensure 24/7 for organization with large complex data center and mission critical applications that need to be up and running 24/7 นะคะอีกสักครู่หนึ่งเนี่ยก็จะเริ่มต้นแล้วนะคะสำหรับผู้ที่สนใจนะคะสามารถที่จะเข้ามานั่งฟังการบรรยายในหัวข้อต่อไปได้เลยค่ะมิสเตอร์ยองด้วยนะคะขอบคุณค่ะ please welcome
thank you for coming appreciate it I know there's a lot happening upstairs at Lucky Draw and so on so I really appreciate that you come into this session so this session is about saving your sanity in terms of doing DR plan so what I'm going to give you is some overview of what is important in the DR plan, what you should emphasize on when you think about DR. Now over the years, I've been with Symantec for 12 years now, Veritas and Symantec, 12 years in total. I speak to a lot of customers about DR and I have some experience to share with you, the experience that I learned from my customers. So I hope it will help you be better in your DR plan. So we skip this. So in the morning, we talk about these three things. You want cloud computing, you got to be able to do these three things, and you have to achieve the 5 different attributes in cloud computing, right? Pool resources, you want to be more resilient in your business service, you want to be more agile, you want to be more flexible, and you want to be able to meter and charge your end user. So once you attain that 5, that's your holy grail. Now today we want to talk about just this, right? Resilient business services. When you pull everything together, once something happens, a lot get affected. That's a fact. The reason why you want to pull things together is because you want to save costs. Because when you buy them in bulk, it's cheaper. And when you manage them as a whole, you get more efficient. So getting resiliency then is very important once you have cloud computing. In Symantec, we have 3 key objectives that we think is important for you when you do your DR planning. The first thing is you must automate DR. Think about it. When disaster happens, IT has got a lot of things to do. When the CEO or the CIO says, I declare that this is a disaster, let's fail over the data center, a lot has to happen for IT to make all your mission critical application start at your DR site. The problem is this can be highly complex. So what we want to achieve here is we want to simplify things and we want to highly automate things, as automated as possible. What you should aim for is if the CIO says fail over, you press one button and it fails over. Everything is automated but not automatic. Why you want to do that? Because in a disaster, IT has to make sure that or cater to the fact that the people who set up IT system, the people who design DR, the people who set up the DR site may not be the people that executes DR. It may be different people. It may be different people by design, by roles and responsibility, or it may be different people by circumstance. For example, when the planes hits the Twin Towers and the CIO says this is a major disaster, let's fail over. Right? Whoever has that responsibility and is outside that building needs to execute DR. And when people execute DR, they may not be in the right emotions as well because it's a disaster and they still need to carry out a job. So again, in the case of the Twin Towers, the people who are executing DR, their mind may be also worried about their colleagues that is still trapped in the building. So DR must be simple and it must be highly automated in order to be successful, because you can never expect what kind of disaster you face. and you have to work in. So we have the technology here that can help you fail over within a local site or fail over to a stretch cluster nearby in several buildings away, or we can help you fail over to a site that is thousands of kilometers away. Depends on your need. We can make it automatic for you, or automated for you, but not automatic. Someone has to declare there is a disaster, someone has to press a button, the site will do a site evacuation. All your data will be at your DR site, and your system will be started in the correct order for all your applications to work at your DR site. That's what we can do for you. The second is you also need to manage the dependencies. I mentioned this morning before, if you start the application by component in the wrong order, everything may start, but the application doesn't run. All the web server will start, all the SAP server will start, all the web logic will start, all the database will start. But if you start them in the wrong order, when someone logs onto the website, internet banking doesn't work. You have to manage the dependencies. The third one is prevent downtime. Now the downtime here doesn't mean normal downtime. In here it means if the CEO says fail over now, from his word now till your thing comes out, that's the downtime. You got to minimize the time where the CEO says fail over to the time when your application come out. A lot of things can go wrong during that time. We will talk about that later. So you want to minimize the delay rather than downtime, the delay in getting the application up when it has been decided that you need it to be up in the DR side. So this morning we talked before, right? It's all dependencies. Web depends on application, application depends on databases. And you need a way to make sure that you know how to do this in a consistent way. And anybody who has the admin right to this doesn't need to relearn the whole system. All he has to do is he has the username and password to the system, and he knows which button to press, and the system will come out. All this complexity is masked from him. He doesn't need to be the application architect to start the application. So in terms of DR, it's the same thing. Once you have virtual business services set up, all the dependency has been set up. When you shut down a site, if the site is not already gone, let's say you are doing a DR drill, right? It will stop the system in the correct order. It will start the system in the correct order for you. So we call DR orchestration. Next is in terms of ensuring that DR is successful, you also need to make sure that on a daily basis, you want to ensure that the configuration at the DR site mirrors the configuration on the primary site. A lot of users, they spend millions of dollars setting up DR. And once they set up DR, they find that in less than 1 month's time, the DR plan will not work. Why is that so? Because once they set up DR, changes happens at the primary site. And it is the changes that happens on the primary site that, if not replicated to the DR site, will make DR unsuccessful. What do I mean by that? For example, you have an Oracle server here or SQL server here, and you have one at the DR site that has been set up exactly the same way, and you have replication going on. So you set up single node cluster here, you set up normal cluster here. If disaster happens, you start the cluster at your DR site. It comes up. Simple as that, right? But changes happen in the primary site every day because it's a live site. All it takes is for one person to say, okay, this volume is running out of this space. I want to add one more volume to the database. Or I want to add one more database instance in the database. I add more disk. If that person do that change, and he doesn't do the same change on the DR side, DR will fail for the disaster recovery exercise. Simple as that. So you can spend millions of dollars setting up DR, but you also must have a way to find out the differences, to find out where misconfiguration can cause your DR to fail. You can have policies to say whoever do a change at the primary side must do the same change at the DR side. But this is all down to human being, human errors, human delays, admin right problems, time problems, and so on. So what we have is what we call a DR advisor, disaster recovery advisor, that will go into an environment and scan your DR configuration for you.